do that. Okay. Hi, Susie. I am so happy to see you. I'm always happy to see you. Um, Having you as a client has been really a joy. And whenever I see your name on my calendar, I love it. For
Thank
everybody
you.
that's, yeah, well, it's a mutual thing, right? We help each other.
Yeah.
And so for those of you who are listening, you may have noticed over for the last 10 days or so in the Facebook group, I've been sharing more about my business because I want you to understand what it is I do. Sometimes you'll read my posts, you might like some of the things I share, but you may not completely understand what it is I do and how I do it and how would you participate in that. And so I've been doing these um, Facebook posts throughout the last 10 days or so. And I was mentioning it to Susie, and she goes, "Oh, I'd love to share with people my experience." And I was grateful for that because there's no better way to learn more about what somebody does than to hear from others their experience with it. So thank you so much, Susie, for wanting to do this, to share your experience with others so that they can make a choice for themselves. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Lynn, for having me too. You've helped me so incredibly much that I just wanted to share with people because I think a lot of times it's hard for us to ask for help.
Mm,
And for me, and I'm an entrepreneur, I'm gonna tell you it's hard to ask for help. And you are a person that was easily approachable. I've gotten to know you in other areas, other programs. And I was like, you know what? Lynn's somebody that I can trust with my health stuff.
mhm.
And
Thank
I felt
you.
comfortable. So I was like, I need to find out more about what she does. So learning more about what you do, and understanding that you do the lab work. I come from a medical background, and
Mhm.
so I totally like get the testing and then retesting to be able to see where, baseline work and then finding out what you're doing. Is it working? Is it not working? And I haven't had that in the regular healthcare system.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so knowing that you come from a holistic background and that you work with things on a more natural level and with our own body's rhythms and the energy work and all of it, I'm like, oh, I need to work with Lynn.
Yeah. And you bring up a really great point that um one of the things, so we can look at your labs. I read blood labs. I also do stool and urine and hair. And so we look at them and they're just like a snapshot of that period of time. And so if you don't do the follow-up work, you won't know if what you've been doing is translating into some type of progress. But the other thing with that is it's like you can look at it and go, oh, all these things, I'm not going to say they're wrong, but they're sending messages. So, what are some things that you can do? Because again, many times you will see your doctor or somebody and they're like, oh, you have to change everything, you have to do all these things. And that can be exhausting, just even thinking about changing a routine that you've gotten used to and you enjoy. And so um what I try to do is create a place where I say, okay, this is what I see, and these are some ideas for you that you can incorporate. And it might be something like what I consider simple as maybe lemon water in the morning or taking digestive enzymes or something like that. But I don't tell you you absolutely have to do this. You
Yeah.
get to choose based on your life and your routines.
Yeah, that was something that was really helpful for me because when I first thought about it, I have a health coaching certification, and I know the work that goes into making changes. And I know I was hesitant. I was like, man, this is a lot of work to look at myself, to look at my health, and finding somebody that I trust that isn't going to say, okay, now you need to drink 5 gallons of water a day. And then you have to walk 20 miles in a week, and you have to, and like have this regimented thing that's so outside of what I do now. I love how you ask questions and you work at a deeper level, in a sense of like, let's talk about some of the behaviors that are happening in
Right.
your routine, and why do you think you're doing those, and letting me figure it out, letting me
Yeah.
kind of understand where things are coming from. And then with a combination of making suggestions and what I've come up with, I've been able to find simple ways to make small changes over time. And it's funny because you've sent me the intake forms and the forms that I fill out, like what's been good this week, what's changed, and I came to you with, my biggest thing was energy. I wanted
Yeah.
more energy. I was feeling fatigued and things like that. And I was having some uncomfortable bloating feelings, which I don't mind sharing it. Um, we started talking about coffee because
Yeah.
it's very acidic. And I love it. We have a fresh ground espresso machine that I was using every day, multiple times a day. And I thought, I can't give this up. Like, I really felt like it was a difficult thing
Right.
because it tastes so good. Like, the flavor of it
Yeah.
was the thing. It wasn't the caffeine part. Like, I don't really care about that. It was just, I like the flavor. I like the warm. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we figured out that it was a routine, but
Mm-hmm.
it was also the taste and the warm, having that
Yeah.
warm thing in the morning. So with that information, you and I together, we just talked through what are some things that could replace the actual coffee without taking away the routine and the
Right.
warm and the flavor. And I
Right.
was like, oh,
And
yeah.
and it's not that there's anything wrong with coffee, but in this particular instance, it was creating some imbalances in your body, and you were okay with that because we came up with some alternatives.
Yes. And it was small. So it was like you didn't say quit coffee cold turkey and replace it with this. And it wasn't and the reason that I bring up the coffee is because I actually felt shifts in my body that were uncomfortable. I was getting more bloated. I was having more heartburn, things that were happening that I just wasn't comfortable. And I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know what to do because I like this so much. I don't want to give it up because I like it. And that's
Mhm.
usually what happens. I don't want to give up pizza because I like it. But you were like, you don't have to give it up. And I was like, what?
Right.
Like, no, like you can just alter what you're doing, and like
Yeah.
coming up with that. And I came up with multiple different ways with different substitutions
Mhm.
of coffee replacement and warm drinks that I
Yep.
enjoy, that I like the
Yep.
flavor of. And
Mhm.
just by simply setting them next to my coffee maker.
Yeah.
So then in my routine, I was like, instead of going straight to the coffee machine, I just stepped over a couple steps and I'm like, oh, there's my thing.
There's everything you need. Yep.
And I have not eliminated coffee completely forever and ever.
Right.
I've just chosen a different option.
Mhm.
And every once in a while I have a cup of coffee, and it doesn't cause me to discomfort, because it's not,
Right.
you and I both know that repetitive things over time, that's what makes things uncomfortable. It's in
Yes.
excess. And I was like
Yes.
literally 3 espresso cups, like 3 Americanos a day,
Yeah. And
every
that
single
could
day. And my
cause
body
a
was like,
disruption. Yep.
yeah, I was like, not comfortable. But having 1 or 2 cups a week, I'm totally fine.
And one of the things I love that you're bringing up is you are feeling, you're asking your body,
Mhm.
what is it? You're taking just a pause. You're not doing an hour-long meditation, doing a body scan, seeing, you're just taking a pause, a breath, and going, what do I need? What do I want? And having that
Yeah.
conversation with your own body is, it can be a game changer, like you're saying, you
And
know?
feeling, I felt empowered. I felt like,
Mhm.
oh my goodness, I have a choice. Like, I don't have to always have coffee because that's always been my default.
Yeah.
It's like I was able to have that mental shift,
Mhm.
ask my body what it wants and how it feels, and then also intellectually go, oh, in this day and age, we have so many variations of things that we can choose from.
Yeah.
It's easier, I think, than 50 years ago. There wasn't as many
Right.
options. And one thing
Right.
I love about working with you is that I'll mention something and you're like, hold on. Okay, there's like five different alternatives to what you're talking about, that are, you know, genuinely a better option. Maybe
Mhm.
nothing's perfect and not everything's going to be the way, exactly how we need it to be. But I love that you have that. We're going to see what you think, Susie, for your own perspective. We're going to go
Right.
internally, but then I'm also going to tell you what's out there because this is what you do. Like
Yeah.
you're in this realm all the time. You're looking at different supplements, vitamins, things like that. And I'm not. And I loved how you broke down when you saw my labs, you broke down the types of foods that would be better to help me increase some of the numbers that were low. And you gave me ideas for alternatives. You gave me ideas for so like just having a choice. It made
Yep.
me feel empowered, like
Yeah.
in a way that wasn't overwhelming. I think that's
And that's
the
exactly
biggest fear.
my goal is to empower you, because there are times that when you'll say something, or I'll make a suggestion and I'll say, so how does that feel to you? And because you are your body's own expert, you live in it, you walk around in it. When you do that process of starting to listen, you know what you need. And that's
Yeah.
really, in the long run, what I'm trying to do is give you that opportunity to say, this is what I need.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just been so life-changing for me because I feel like you're really good at um analysis, kind of
Hmm.
analyzing what's happening. So when I meet with you, you're like, so how are things going? And I tell you what's going on. And then a lot of times I don't even realize that there's something there that could be tweaked a little bit. And we'll have a conversation and then I'll come to terms with it myself and be like, oh, yeah, we can change that. Here's something
Yep.
small, a small change that I can make. And I feel confident about it. I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to do this whole new thing now this week, different
Yep.
from last week. It's just little, and they're mine. They're things that I've come up with,
Yep.
and you're just there to reinforce it and to say, um, here's some other options if there's something that, a list of different types of foods or a list of supplements or a list of coffee substitutes or whatever. And I love that because that's really what I needed. I needed a place that I felt safe. I could still be myself. I can tell you, I'm drinking 3 cups of coffee a day. I really don't want to. I would like to be able to scale it back, still enjoy it without you saying, we're going to get you to where you don't drink coffee at all ever again.
Right. Evil
Like, that's not
coffee.
the point. That's not the
Nope,
point.
that's not the point.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
totally.
Because everybody is different. And, you know, um, many of the people I work with are vegetarian or vegan, and I respect that. And I'm not going to make you do anything different. Many of them that I work with are meat eaters. I'm fine with that. I'm not going to make you change. I'm just going to tell you, this is what I'm seeing, and this is what it looks like on my perspective, what you might need. And so, like, I might tell you, you might want to consider meat, and you might go, I'll consider it. I'm not going to suddenly become a carnivore, but it's that's my job, is to tell you what
Mhm.
I see, and give you the option so you can choose. Because like you
Yeah.
said, because then I'm going to do it.
And the other thing that I absolutely love is your vast array of knowledge. So even like you just said, vegan versus a carnivore and everything in between. So it's like you can give if I came to you and I was like, I want to cut back on my meat consumption. I mean, that's not what I'm doing right now, but if I did, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, let me show you some of the ways that you can do that. That's
Hmm.
still going to give you the nutrients that you need and whatever. And a lot of people don't have the knowledge to do that. They're either really versed in one thing and
Right.
that's what they really know and they can talk about it,
Right.
or another. And so when people come to them and they're like, well, I want to make a shift, they're like, okay, well, I can help you in this one area,
Right.
but I'm not really as familiar with this other area. So that's something that I've really appreciated. I feel like I can ask you anything. And if you don't know the answer, you're going to research it,
Yep.
find out information, and then you'll send it to me. And then again, I'm empowered to do what I want with the information.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, and that again is one of the things I want people to understand. Um, and I really appreciate what you're sharing, because I know a lot of people probably wonder, what is it I do? And um, I do some work with herbs and tinctures and things like that. Um, but it's not always about the herbs and the tinctures. It may be something like starting your day with lemon water. You know, it's there's a variety of things. And yes, I'm always studying, because everything like everything about this just fascinates me. Um, and so that was something I really wanted people to understand more about, how it is I work. So if they have questions, they know that they can approach me. If you are going to share one thing with people who are curious about what is it like to work with me, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that they can be completely themselves. So it doesn't matter what they bring to you that they want to work on, big, small, or it doesn't matter. Just having a conversation with you will enlighten them
Yeah.
to a place where they're like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. And it's very custom. I would say that's probably the biggest value that I found, is that you're very custom for who you're talking to. You're
Hmm.
not going to do the exact same thing for every single person that you talk to. And and that's what I love about meeting with you on the schedule that we have. I never know. Like, I'll be doing some of the things that we've talked about, but then we get on a call and I'm like, I don't really, like last time I talked to you, I'm like, I don't really know what it is I need help with. Let's have a conversation. And you have such a beautiful way of getting to what that thing that might be coming up for me that I don't realize is there. And so for those people that are thinking about it, I would say just schedule a session with you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what's going to come up is going to come up for you
Yep.
specifically.
Yep. Well, and I have a free 30-minute consultation where you can do that. You can just ask me questions to learn more about what it is that I can offer. And and maybe it'll be a fit, and maybe it won't. And either way, it's okay. You've I would applaud you for just taking that step and saying, well, I'm just going to ask,
Yeah.
because that first step is often the best step towards healing.
Yeah. And the other thing I would add is that it's small steps,
Hmm.
and not to feel overwhelmed, because that's not the way you work at all. You're not a
Yeah.
person that's like, here's a whole program that you're going to do while you're working with me and we're going to go all the way through it's just very
Yeah. And in
organic.
6 weeks,
And
everything will be fixed.
yeah, yeah, that doesn't happen.
I don't, yeah, I have yet to see that.
Yeah.
But in 6 weeks, a lot can happen. It's, you
Yes.
know, it's up to you, right? You get to choose. And maybe just that choice is the biggest thing that needs to happen for you, is that you get to choose.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Susie, for taking this time. Um, I'm sure people will resonate with your story, and who knows, they may have questions. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. All right.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you everybody for listening. We'll talk with you later.